Hi everyone, welcome back to the Perkins Engineering YouTube channel. This year proudly brought to you by Automation Solutions. It's been great fun working with Automation Solutions to be able to make more content, and we've been making some really cool videos this year, so it's exciting to bring you another one. And this episode we're back in the workshop and I pulled the car covers off the 93 Bathurst winner and the 94 third place, both VP Commodores. These are cars that we're currently restoring in the workshop. I wanted to give you guys a bit of an update on where they're at, so we'll do a bit of a walk around the cars and have a bit of a look around. It's important to note that these aren't really full-time jobs for us as such. I'm not, unfortunately, not able to work on the cars sort of 5, 6, 7 days a week. We do bits and pieces where we can. We're running a very high level of restoration, which we're being very transparent with. It's something you don't always see with restoration, so we've got nothing to hide, and we're doing as much we can to bring these two bad boys back to their original condition. So it's been a good project, it's been a long project, and we often get a lot of questions, you know, why is it taking so long? Which is sometimes a bit difficult to answer because, you know, I've poured an enormous amount of time and blood, sweat and tears into these projects, and don't worry, it frustrates me that they've taken such a long time. I think I started this one in 2016 and around about 2016, 2017 with this one. So yeah, it's an enduring process, but when you're at the level that we are, you can't leave any stone unturned, and they need to be immaculate and as they were. So I'll grab the camera now and I'm looking forward to showing you around the cars and updating you on the restorations. Okay, so starting with our 1993 Bathurst winning Commodore, PE chassis number 017. It may look like it's ready to race, but yeah, still quite a lot of work. I think our last update was when we showed you all the sign writing. So car looks $1 million. The sign writing is 99.9% accurate, as close as we could get it with the original sign writer, and we're really proud of how it's come up. It looks fantastic. So to update you on, I guess, a few of the things that we've been doing or things that we're going to do. I think since the last time our front suspension is basically in the car. So our restored and re-anodized front calipers, our new brake hats, new Harrop brake rotors, all of the suspension, the Black King springs, all of that stuff. We heavily documented the process of building this on our Facebook, Instagram, and also on our YouTube channel. So if you want to look back through some of the build processes of all that, that's where you'll find it. So principally, the heavy artillery is done here. We're just busy getting all of our parts together to make brake lines. So once we've got all those fittings, connections, hoses, we can make our brake lines, our clutch lines, and our brake ducting, which we actually have already done. It's just been removed out of the car. So the brake duct mounts are those tie wrap blocks, and then the other holes that you can sort of see are related to brake lines and some other fixtures and whatnot. So looking pretty good in terms of suspension. Everything's there, sway bars, control arms, everything. So looking forward to getting it on the ground, obviously, to do a setup. But as you all know, we've been dynoing the engine. So the engine's got to go in the car, which it will be going in the car very soon. That white material you can see, I've literally had that taped to the chassis rails on the side, so when the engine comes in and out, there's no scratching or anything like that of the mint paintwork. Some of the imperfections you might see are just black dust from our car covers, but principally when the engine goes in, we can then finalize all of our oil lines from our coolers and filters back to the bulkhead, which then go back to the oil tank. You see our chassis tag there, all in pristine condition. And then because this car came back with a Chevy engine in it, we need to make a Holden wiring loom from the bulkhead there, which you can see the big hole for the cannon plug. That goes back to the ECU, and then the loom from that cannon plug to the engine runs the motor on the Autronic. All the OEM headlights are all in place, and all the wiring's been laid out in this car. There's a couple of connections that need tidying off and a few things that will need tidying up as we convert it back from what was updated to a Chevy engine to a Holden engine. The front windscreen's not in final fit. That's just been dummy placed there. So we're still tracking down a few front windscreens, looking for mint Pilkington originality. I could buy an aftermarket one but then when I put a brand new aftermarket one in and come and have a look at the car, I won't see this Pilkington display and part number, which is integral because it was there in 93. So this windscreen was the first one that I did with the black background, which is actually not a sticker. That's a painted line or painted section underneath the windscreen. And it was my first crack at trying to get it right, and it's pretty close. So we put the sticker on top, and fairly happy with how that's come up. Left front suspension, same as the right front in a similar situation. All of our trims and rubbers and everything, all of our panel work is done effectively on this car, which is exciting. And our switch towers in place, all the wiring's in place, but there will be still some interior jobs to do. Things like the coil and some other fixtures, ECU mounting and things like that we need to tidy off, and then the interior will be done. As you can see, windscreen washer bottle, original door trims, and then we actually have front door trims to go on, which are a grey vinyl. So I've got a sample and things like that, but need to go and source the material, which is pretty challenging at the moment, but it's all time, and you need to make it happen. So looking forward to getting all those things in place. And our yellow power cable's already in, everything as it was. So the interiors are pretty close. Rear end and rear suspension, again, basically finished. We just got the rear shockers back in the car, and then we need to tie off the canister hoses. So you can see a little hole here, which will be a mounting point for that hose. That's an original hole there from many years ago. Panhard suspension, calipers, everything's all ready to go. I think we've just got to fire some oil in there, and we're laughing. The boot, again, is basically all done. Save for a couple of breather hoses up here for our fuel system, the boot is pretty well ready to go. So really happy with how the boot's come up. Very much on par with how it was. So the attention to detail with those AP Racing brake bottle fluid bottles as the overflows and stuff like that, really cool. So looking forward to, basically once the engine's in the car, we can finish off all the plumbing and put oil in the engine and so on. Moving around here, same sort of scenario. We getting our diff and gearbox coolers into place. So this has been a bit of a tricky process because diff and gearbox coolers are only in the cars for Sandown and Bathurst, and we're sort of running off. They didn't have a drawer-in for the part, so we're busy setting them up. You can see a breather hose there from the fuel system, which needs to be cut off, and we're mucking around with our oil coolers. And again, there's our gearbox cooler, all underneath done, exhaust systems in place, pedal box is all sorted, all the master cylinders and everything ready to go, brake lines are done, and yeah, so that's basically the 93 car. Both cars need tail shafts made because the Chevy length tail shaft's different to the Holden, so we'll be making brand new tail shafts, which we've basically got all the componentry. As you can see, the dashboard there in the 93 car. Scooting over to 94 car. Subtle differences in the signage, but effectively in a very similar mechanical condition. You'll see there's the brake duct mounting, those O-rings around those cable tie blocks I showed you on the 93 car. Front bars off this car, as we're still looking around oil coolers and oil lines. You'll notice the darker caliper colour on this car, but front suspension in the same position as the other car, and just ready for brake lines, which we'll be making the two cars together. This car doesn't have a front windscreen in it at the moment. You can see the Castrol sticker on the back firewall. That's as it was in 1994 in-car camera signage. This car does have the engine in, which is pretty cool. The Chevy engine we dynoed some time ago, and basically we've done as much of the plumbing as we can while we still wait for some fittings to come from America, from Earls. And a couple of things like the breather, engine breather bottles and things need to go in, but the hoses and stuff, everything's all plumbed up, water systems effectively ready to go. Once the radiator goes in, finish off our last couple of lines from the cooler, oil cooler, and then this car still needs the headlights to go in, and we need to run the wiring through it. So we haven't got the switch tower in place with the original tower, and relabeled the tower, and the switch tower and everything looked fantastic. Gearbox in place, so we've got the gear lever in, the original gear lever engraved 94 Bathurst, which was pretty cool. And then once we finish checking over the wiring loom in this car, we lay it out. But that's an extensive process, retaping it up with electrical tape, not heat shrink, because that's how it was back in the day. And there you see the PI system in the dash in the center. We ran through the seats in our previous episode. So again, the interiors are pretty close here. Just need those trims on the front doors. The rear ends, pretty good on these cars. Well, 93 cars basically done. This car just needs the rear calipers and rotors fitted, but in the same situation as the other car. It's just missing the rear shockers, which we'll hopefully have them soon. And you can see the diff cooler's a slight step ahead with the safety mesh fitted to the front of that. And again, you'll see underneath the pedal box in this car's on the bench, ready to fit. There's the gearbox cooler and some dummy hoses we've got mocked up. The exhaust system's obviously in the car because that engine setup is all complete. And a tail shaft we need to manufacture for this rocket. And in the boot, 99% done. We've just been mocking up the breather hose system. So this used a drink bottle instead of the AP Racing fluid holders. And fuel regulators just out of the car at the moment. When we dynoed the engines, we used the fuel regulator from this car. And basically, you know, most of the hardware's done here and ready to go. On the bench in a sealed bag is the master cylinder pedal assembly, all ready to fit in rebuilt mechanical rebuild, all new seals, everything ready to fit to the car, and the clutch master cylinder in the same position. So looking forward to getting that done, and that's basically the update on those two cars. So hoping to make some serious progress in the next couple of months, and we'll look forward to keeping you in touch. Well, that's an update on these two cars. I hope you enjoyed it. A bit rough on the camera work, but I wanted to just walk and talk and show you around it. I'm a one-man show, so I've got to do the camera work and the talking at the same time. Big thanks, as always this year, Automation Solutions. Thanks so much for supporting what we're doing. Remember, they're an Aussie family business. They provide custom robotic solutions, PLC machine controls, and like I said, they service regional areas. And Brett, the owner, doesn't mind getting on the road. So look them up on Facebook, Automation Solutions Australia. Check out their website, automationsolutions.com.au. I'm looking forward to bringing you more and more content. Our 1993 t-shirts have been going really good. There's heaps of white ones left and not so many black ones. So jump on perkinsengineering.com.au for your 93 Larry Perkins t-shirt. And there's a few other things popping up on our website for sale, some stuff around the workshop. So keep an eye on that. Thanks for the support, and look forward to bringing you another video real soon. Cheers.